The stars at night are clear and bright, deep in the heart of Texas. Wait, is that a song?
That is a song.
That is a song. Oh, so you may be thinking, why are we talking about Texas? This channel is about
Utah.
St. George, Utah. The reason is because there's a lot of people from Texas that are moving to Utah. So we're going to talk about why. Why would you choose to move from Texas to Utah?
So stay tuned. What's up, everybody? I'm Sean Azad.
And I'm Courtney Dezad, and we're with Keller Williams Realty right here in St. George, Utah. And if this is your first time to the channel, you want to know everything about living in St. George, Utah, don't forget to press on the subscribe button, and don't forget to press on the bell so you're notified every time that we upload a new video, because we upload new videos every week.
Yeah, and we are licensed realtors right here in the state of Utah. So as much as we love making these videos and how much we love making these videos.
They're fun.
Yes, they are. But what we love more is to help you with your real estate needs. So whether you're looking to buy or sell a home in Utah, or in St. George region, I should say, what you want to do is you want to give us a call, shoot us a text, or send us an email.
Or you can reach out to us via WhatsApp. However you want to get a hold of us, we've got your back. So everyone knows that, the world kind of changed over the last 2 years.
What happened?
It went crazy. It went a little bit crazy, I would say. But what change that has happened, maybe for the better, is that these past 2 years has allowed people to be able to to maybe not live where they work. Like remote work, I feel like
Is a thing.
It's a thing, whether it's, 100% remote or people now only have to go in a little bit to the office. So it's given people an opportunity to really kind of live wherever they want.
Yeah.
So I think that's one of the reasons, if you actually look at statistics of who is moving into Utah, people from Texas is actually number 5 on the list, according to census data.
Yeah, and obviously Californians are known for being pretty high on that list, but Texas is actually not too far behind.
Yeah, because I think there are certain things that Utah has to offer that Texas doesn't have to offer. I think Texas is a great state. My sister actually lives there. She's lived in the Dallas-Fort Worth area for over 10 years now. So we actually are fairly familiar with Texas.
Yeah, totally. We've been there several times.
Yeah, I've been there many, many times, with my sister. Not just the Dallas-Fort Worth area, but we've been out to Houston, been out to... where did we go? The wine country? They have a wine country.
Yeah, like outside of Austin, Texas.
Yeah, so outside of Austin. So we've been all over Texas. Yeah. So, we're familiar with Texas. And my sister is married to a Texan. A mini generational. I think.
Okay, so you have to understand, Courtney's Texas accent is really horrible. But I know, she's emphasizing, yeah.
I always imitate my brother-in-law, and my sister's always like, he does not talk like that. I don't know why you always say that he has such a strong accent. He doesn't. But he does have an accent.
There's an accent there, but it's not quite as thick.
Yeah. I would say it's funny. Like the Texas accent, it's not as strong as maybe some other parts of the South. Oh, although I wouldn't really consider Texas the South. I just consider Texas.
Yes.
Yeah, Texas is its own
country. Lone Star State.
Yeah. It's its own place, yes. Right? Mm-hmm. And I would say one big reason why you'd maybe want to live in Utah, in St. George, obviously, because we're talking about St. George, over Texas, is not that it doesn't get hot here, but
the general weather.
Yeah.
Far superior.
Far superior weather. The Texas heat, you want to talk about heat. St. George gets hot, but
it's a dry heat at least. And that actually, as much as we joke about the dry heat, it actually does make a difference. It's not suffocating. Like I remember when we were actually visiting your sister for her wedding, basically we step out of DFW airport and get pleasantly blasted in the face with this convection style heat.
Yeah, convection oven.
This breeze that, again, we're more used to a breeze kind of providing something of a relief of some sort. Texas, you get cooked faster, actually. It's a very efficient way of cooking you.
Yeah, and not to say that it isn't warm, in the peak of the summer, July, it's really warm here, but at least you get something of a breather, like at night.
Yeah, mornings and nights are actually pretty pleasant.
Well, I wouldn't say pretty pleasant, but it's lower, whereas in Texas, it is just 100 degrees. I remember my sister first moved there, so it was 10 years ago.
It was 100 days of 100 degrees.
100 days of 100 degrees.
And that's humid degrees too. We're not talking about dry. So that was brutal.
It was. And I went and visited her shortly thereafter, and it was in the 90s, and she thought that it was so nice. So yes, that is definitely a difference.
Yes.
Heat.
And then that's a worst part of it. Like, let's say the weather in St. George is that summer, but the rest of the year
it's
so nice. Like, and again, we don't have much rain, which kind of, so you could, if you're interested in outdoor activities, you want to golf or whatever, you have stuff that you can do pretty much all year round.
Well, they have a longer season of hot as well. It's hot. I would honestly argue about 6 months out of the year. It's really hot. So obviously we don't want to bash on Texas because Texas is a great state. I mean, people love Texas for a reason. I get it. I don't want.
I mean, we were actually even thinking about moving to Texas for a point, but again, that weather thing was kind of pretty tough.
So let's talk about a positive of Texas, or at least what people view as a positive is, people in Texas, they really, they love the Second Amendment, right? And so Utah is similar. So if you're someone that, loves the Second Amendment, you come to Utah and it's a similar,
Yeah, conversely, if you don't like guns and stuff like that, neither of these places are going to be like all that amazing for you.
I mean, just as an example, the other day I was, talking to my sister, and we were, because, our mom is elderly, so we're talking about things related to her, and I'm like, well, maybe we should get an elder care lawyer. And so I Googled it, and literally came up was Don Mills Gun Trusts. And then I said to my sister, only in Texas would you Google elder care lawyer, and then that's what comes up.
Yeah, that seems like that's about pretty Texas to me.
Yeah. So that's, I would say a reason why someone who's in Texas and then say, oh, then I'll just go to Utah because it's similar.
And as a recommendation, if you are moving to Utah, St. George region, you probably want to invest in some gun education. Like, you want to really just kind of know your way around a gun, just to know your way around a gun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, Sean's best friend, that's definitely, he gave us that recommendation, especially for our kids as well, because it's just so prevalent here. Yeah. Another positive is Texas is very business friendly and
famously so.
Yeah, famously business friendly, and so is Utah. So that's
Yeah. So good news is that and that's the thing. Like, people that are going from Texas to Utah, well, they obviously don't want, and I mean, not all of them, but people probably want some familiarity, but with some added benefits in their mind. So obviously the weather is an added benefit, but then some of these things like the business friendliness of the state, as well as the gun control stuff, or lack thereof, is basically a benefit.
Mm-hmm. And then I'd say one reason that you might prefer Utah over Texas is, I would say, just the overall landscape of Utah is
beautiful.
Phenomenally beautiful. Yes. Whereas, I mean, Texas, I don't want to bash it again, but it's not, at least in my opinion, the prettiest state.
I guess it depends on where you're. Texas is a huge state.
Is huge.
And there's some variation depending on where you are.
Yeah, I guess the woodlands around Houston can be nice, but at least where my sister lives, it's very prairie, right? It's just flat.
Yeah, I'm not a big prairie fan. Mm-hmm. Prairie is just not, I'll take the high desert stuff any day, especially with those red rocks and all that stuff, any day over prairie. Prairie is just not the most beautiful thing.
Yeah, and one nice thing about here as well is that when you're here, you're very close to really good skiing. I mean, you're only about 90 minutes from Bryan Head, so you have the mountains, right? Whereas Texas doesn't really have that, right?
Yeah, I don't think they have any, that I'm aware of any skiing to speak of.
Yeah, their elevation is pretty flat, throughout the whole state.
Not Florida flat, but relatively flat.
Yeah, so that's just another benefit that you get here. Not only are you close to Bryan Head, but obviously, Park City is not that far away, right?
It's a few hours down the 15 for you.
Yeah. And then obviously Texas does have the Gulf of Mexico, which is a beach area, which obviously Utah does not have the beach.
Yeah.
And I would say that's one probably negative about living here is that there isn't real huge water features, right?
At least in the St. George region.
Yeah, at least in the St. George region, of course. Yeah. So, but one thing that the Gulf of Mexico does bring is that you do have to deal with hurricanes, right?
Yes. Famously, Hurricane Harvey. Several hurricanes make their way to Texas, right? So that's just kind of what it is. And so it's just one of those natural disasters that you have to be ready for. And sometimes it can be rather catastrophic depending. Harvey dumped, I think they said 48 inches. It's 48 inches of rain during it, which is crazy because when you think about 48 inches of snow is a lot of snow. Rain, you have to multiply that by 10, right? That's just crazy amount of rain dumped on an area.
Yeah, and I remember my sister, she was looking, just to buy a little vacation property in the coast of Texas, and the realtor was basically telling her, he's like, yeah, lots of people do it, but you do have to know that it probably will get destroyed by a hurricane.
In 10 years. Within 10 years, yeah.
So you just got to know that and just have like flood insurance. So I guess it's just like a
hurricane insurance.
Oh yeah, hurricane insurance. It's just kind of like a fact of life,
yes.
I guess, that they deal with. So.
Yeah. Those beach properties in Texas may seem very reasonably priced, but it's priced reasonably for a reason.
Yeah, for sure. And then my sister's in the Dallas area, and they do deal with tornadoes as well. Obviously we don't deal with that here. So
yeah, so again, as far as natural disaster goes, Texas has deep freezes, they have hurricanes. Tornadoes are definitely a thing and kind of terrifying, because at least with hurricanes, at least you have time, right?
Yeah,
like,
you can
because you see it coming. But with tornadoes, they're just there.
Yeah, my sister has had to. I remember when she first moved there, she basically, like, a couple days after she moved there was like this big tornado warning, and there was all these sirens going off, and she had to like hide in her closet because she was in an apartment at the time. So
yeah, we were from a safe place in California where there's no natural disasters at all.
Sean's being facetious. Yeah, California has to deal with its own
set of issues.
Another similarity is that even though obviously I would say the weather here is way better, you still have to wear like your SPF shirts. You still have to wear like
sunscreen, hats.
Yeah, hats, sunscreen. I mean, it's a
that heat. Well, that sun will get you.
Yeah, it's definitely a way of life. I know in Texas it's pretty popular to have your SPF shirts. And
St. George, not really different there.
Yeah, you definitely. We've definitely got some SPF shirts for us and for our kids.
Yes.
And then I would say one, just to be real in this video, one difference between here in St. George and many areas of Texas is I would definitely say the cost of living is lower in many areas of Texas. I know like the Houston region is like really, really reasonably priced for the real estate, whereas here we're definitely higher than average, specifically for real estate prices. So I don't know if you want to talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that part of that is just, I mean, again, it depends on where you are. I mean, St. George is a very desirable area, so I think there's definitely pockets of Utah, like all over the place, that you can find pretty good deals. But I mean, obviously, if you're in those like little centers, like obviously Park City, of course, is crazy, but like some of these places are obviously going to be higher price. In Texas is no different really from that perspective. So I guess it just depends on what your expectation is from where you're moving to. Is that you're going to need to know that depending on where you are in Texas, it could be more expensive here.
Lastly, I would say one thing that's similar, at least here and a lot of regions in Texas, is that one of the reasons my sister lives out in Texas is because, pre-pandemic, she would fly all over the world. And so she needed to live near like a major international airport. And while St. George itself is not, has a very small airport, it's very close to Vegas, which is a major international airport. So it's pretty easy to get anywhere you want to in the world from Vegas.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
Yeah, that's like a pretty similar thing.
Yeah, and people will say, oh, but your international airports like that you'd be going to is about 90 minutes away. That's how far away Vegas is from here. But let's be real. In Texas, given how spread out some of these cities are, it could take you 90 minutes to get to the airport anyway. So it's one of those things where probably the commute to the airport, depending on where you are, it isn't all that different.
Yeah, if you live in like a big metropolitan area in Texas, I mean, it is huge. And
huge. Texas goes big. I mean, Houston is actually like the 4th most populous city in the country, but by landmass, I believe it's the largest. I mean, it is just a massive, massive city, like just huge. I mean, everything in Texas is bigger, right? So it's just massive. And to get from one point to another, they jokingly say it's at least an hour. Yeah. Like it's just, from, one part of town to the other part of town. And that's like not, and again, I know Texas also has their issues with traffic and all that stuff too. So you're not looking at a drastically different commute realistically. Obviously, if you live right next to the airport, which your sister does, she actually lives in Grapevine, which is right where DFW is. Okay, in that situation, that's unique, but there's plenty of Dallas out there beyond that Grapevine area, that that city of Grapevine, where it's far away. Yeah, I mean, I guess everywhere in Houston is an hour away, whereas everywhere here in St. George is 15 minutes. There you go. So that's it. That's our video. Yeah, and just as a reminder, we are licensed realtors right here in the state of Utah. So as much as we love making these videos, what we love more is to help you with your real estate needs. So whether you're looking to buy or sell a home in St. George region, what you want to do is you want to give us a call, shoot us a text, or send us an email. Or you can reach out to us via WhatsApp. However you want to get a hold of us, we've got your back.